moment of clarity often occurs during or after a painful situation, such as a near-death experience, trauma, and feeling a loss. When you experience these realizations, you can't ignore them because they hold the answers you're looking for. This podcast will discuss those. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your boy Cito Blanqui. Never miss a free throw, live and direct. I got now. I don't really care who got next, but it's another episode of Moment of Clarity. And right now, I think this week has opened my eyes to a lot of different viewpoints of just past, present, and future. And like every second we really get hockey be a gift, and it be messing me up because it's kind of like who ties the ribbon, you know? Like we tie ribbons in the aspect of like who like solidifies the gift for you. Is it a perspective? Is it a moment? Is it a tangible thing? Is it an experience? And right now I'm just living in experiences. So as we experience things, I just learned to have conversations with the people that I experience things with. So the person next to me, we've had a lot of experiences and conversations that have helped me, enlightened me, and even held me accountable a couple of times. Like, you know what I'm saying? You kind of throw a little, like, get on your shit, bro. Like, all right, you know what? You're right. You know what? I need that little, sometimes you need a little bit of tough love. Like, yo, stop playing. Like, you know why you here. You know what God put you on this earth for. Like, stop playing with everything. To the right of me, the beautiful Sashay.
Hi, everybody. That was so timid, but do I have to like give an introduction?
Yo, what you good? You want an introduction? How you feeling? How was your day? What'd you do today?
Honestly, I had a pretty rough day. I won't lie.
Oh, okay.
I'm blessed that I woke up and I'm here and capable and willing to film this this episode with you. I'm blessed, but I had a pretty rough day. I won't lie, but I had to work on myself, do my praise and worship, and stay grounded in the Word of God, and that honestly gave me the strength that I need to get up and win the day, no matter what I'm feeling.
All right, that makes me. It's funny. We're gonna do a nice little just intro, but that makes me want to go into other questions. It's in the aspect of, so when things are shaking, you feel like you're off balance. Like, what are the things that you do to kind of get you back centered?
So most importantly, first, I need to allow myself to sit in some stillness and just be realistic and aware of what's throwing off the balance. And then I need to do things that ground me. So I need to talk to people, maybe. What else? It's just so much. Like, I have a routine. So, like, I'll talk about it, get it off my chest. And honestly, the Word of God, like surrendering whatever it is to Him, and then just listening to the Word, reading the Word, and praying, and just staying positive, honestly. But more practical things like expressing your feelings, journaling, exercising, getting that body moving, those things actually help you become grounded and just not go crazy internally, because sometimes life does that to you. I can honestly say that.
Sometimes life be lifing. Like, internalizing like those feelings and those emotions, I think is some of the hardest things ever.
100%.
I think I read a quote and they said, experiences aren't what somebody does to you, is how you interpret them. And it kind of like, it mashed my head up because I'm like, what you mean? Like, I just went through something with somebody. How you telling me what? But then once again, if you speak to them, that experience was completely different for them. Like how they might have digested it, what took place, what they took from it. And I think the same thing happens in life.
Yeah.
There's so many traumatic experiences that we'll have that we think like that day was crazy. Cause I remember like this happened to me. It was a tough day. Other people's kind of like, I found $20 on the floor. Like that day was lit for me. Like, and y'all was in the same place, same thing, everything happened, and y'all had just completely different experiences and feelings. So at one point in time, I used to have like difficult days. Until I shifted my perspective and I was like, all right, this is like a character building day. Like, I had to learn how to.
Sorry.
There you go. Now, I had to learn how to like not go into that place where it's like there is no wrong side of the bed. Like I had to get to a space where it's like, damn, bro, like, this happened and this happened, this happened. But then like that stop, take a deep breath and realize like, why did this happen? All right. Your money got messed up because you did this, did that didn't factor in, but you knew better than that. And I think we all have like this blueprint. It was like a trail to show where all our bad decisions come from, or when our life gets imbalanced. And it's like, for some reason, we only want to shine a light on it once we kind of like 2 steps away from like drowning, or at least me. Like, I find myself in those spaces. So it's like, how many times you pray in a day? What's the most amount of times you ever prayed in a day? And then secondly, like, how do you feel like your relationship with God helps you in this world?
So, I'm sorry, what was the first question? Was it how many times I pray in a day?
Yeah, like, what's the most you ever prayed in a day?
We have 24 hours in a day. Let's say I slept 8 of those hours. I have about 16 hours left. Well, no, wait. Yeah, 16 hours. 16, yeah. What am I talking about? I thought about 28 hours a day. Wait, yeah, I have 16 hours left, and then I'm doing things. I'm just being realistic now. Probably like more than 10 times, because a prayer for me is not always praying for 20 to 30 minutes. It can be simple like, God, please don't let anyone crash into me. In Jesus' name, amen. Or, God, please let this work out. God, you know, and I do that multiple times a day. So for me, a prayer, like, you can pray 100 times a day and you won't even know it. Just by speaking to him in your heart, in your mind, whether you're actually saying it out loud, verbalizing it. So I pray more than 10 times a day. I probably prayed about 100 times a day before, just simply saying, God, please let this come through, or let that happen, or protect me from this. Or you deal with people and you have to pray to like contain yourself. So,
and not to kind of reserve back. That's, dang, I feel bad now, because I don't be. I think the most I've prayed, no lie, might have been a Steph Curry, bro. I think I got like probably 30. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like I had a weird relationship with praying at one point in time, because like people used to judge me. Because I used to really be like, yo, God, my nigga, yo, somebody bugging right now. Like, yo,
but that's
please.
Being authentic. He likes that.
And is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it's like this element of like, I got church trauma. I'll be honest. I have church trauma, but
I do also.
I think, like, honestly, a lot of people I do know kind of have church trauma. And it's not a conversation we kind of talk about enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we don't talk about that enough, you know? And not, like, there's levels to the church trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not talking, like, lawsuit church trauma. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not trying to stop laughing. I'm not trying to be funny.
Lawsuit church trauma?
Yo, because, you know, certain church traumas is like, they done did some stuff that people could sue them and, you know,
100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking about just the... Yeah, like...
Trying to finagle through your spirituality.
Yes. To be honest, I'll be honest, I don't think church taught me how to be spiritual. I think church taught me like the tangible ways where I can connect with God if I knew my spirituality at that time.
Okay.
But I feel like nobody actually gave me like a line to kind of get spiritual. But I don't know if that was their job. Like, I used to see my mom crying in church, and I used to be like, yo, bro, like, it's not that serious. Like I ain't gonna lie, like, for real, I used to be like, when you 13, you in middle school, you cutting ass, you just bugging all day, like, life was just a joke to you. Like, you seeing people jump up and down in church, like, yo, y'all dragging it, like, y'all doing way too much. Then you get older, and, like, you get to church, and I'm like...
The Holy Spirit comes upon you,
yo,
and to know what it's like.
That shit hit me one time, I'm like, nigga, you about to cry? Like, you're not crying, bro. Like, yo, bro, what's going on? Like, why you feel it?
It clicks.
Yeah.
You need to have the emotional moment to understand what's being said to you. When you're younger, you haven't struggled yet. You've had struggles.
But you ain't struggle yet.
But you haven't made it over the struggle that when you hear that sermon, it hits you because you know where you were and now where you are. That's where the tears come from. But that's in time.
But that's the... I guess that's what you call the gospel. It's that aspect of or living the testimony in a certain way. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've had my church bashing years. I don't want it to ever be that. But I think it's more in the aspect of how do we transition into a newer generation where, because in a positive way, I feel like the church has like given birth so many safe places, despite the lawsuits. Have helped so many creatives. Like some of the most talented musicians I know start off in church. You know, some of the first people that spoke started off in church.
They develop talents.
Yes, like to be honest with you, it's wild because I used to be sitting down like, yo, I want to go home and watch a football game and see people talking like young kids saying prayers and stuff. I was like, I could do that shit, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to talk. I didn't know what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm happy that God has put me in a space now to understand what to talk about instead of talking for no reason. Right. And the aspect of wasting talents, like we were talking about, like when our time is up, you want to empty your cup. You want to give everything that this world has to offer. You have to offer to this world.
Right.
So
you did you asked me like, how has my relationship with God, how did it contribute to me living in this world? Honestly, I would say that my relationship with God has allowed me to have peace within my soul and within my physical being when there's a bunch of chaos around me. I don't know what it is. It's just the Bible is really a book of truth. Some people may beg to differ, and that's okay. But when you can open it and read something and that was written thousands of years ago, and it's tailored to and it applies exactly to your daily situation, your ongoing circumstance in life, it doesn't get any realer than that. And that's the main thing, because I've been through so much, and you know that, some of the things we spoke about, and I don't give the credit to myself for still being able to hang in there and persevere through all of that and still go after certain things. And it's literally the grace of God, honestly. So there has to be a supernatural being that is responsible for that, to be honest, because my physical strength, my physical capabilities is not enough to allow me to persevere and endure all the stuff that I have. So that's the main thing for me. I believe peace is one of the most important things that you could ever have. You can't go to the store and say, hey, I'd like an order of peace with some french fries on the side. Like, I wish it was that simple,
black
but
pepper, hot sauce, hold
can't do
the
that.
mayo, you know what I'm saying, on the piece.
Yeah.
Now, that's, you really can't. I think you can't. It's interesting, like, that analogy that you use, because I feel like when we see people or we resonate with the people that are in our life, or at least I can say I do this right now, is that I ask like myself, like, what do they bring? What do they offer? And I feel like we had a bad connotation or a bad representation of what selfish means in this life.
Yeah.
Because good business is like when people who both do something that benefits both of us. Like, I feel like me and God got good business. It's like, when we tapped in, I go save some people, you save me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It worked.
Yeah.
Like, it just works like that. So as we're on this journey, do you feel like, so what's chaos for you in the sense of like, how do you like departmentalize the different spaces? Because like one thing I'll say is that, and I see on social media, you make it look good. You make it look amazing. Like hockey, make it look amazing. Like, it's like you tapped in, like you check off a lot of boxes. And majority of my friends now, I'll say, are women. And I see all the things that they have to do within the day, and I see how they departmentalize things like, okay, I got time for this, I got time for that, but not just being there in your flesh. Like, you show up and be present in your soul as well. So do you feel like how do you departmentalize like everything in the aspect of like your relationship with God, but then you still want to be fly, but then like I know you model, and then you're in school, and then it's like you still got family, you got friends, and then you know what I'm saying, there's this life, then there's fun, then it's like, I know you're heavy on your schedule, but like, yes, how do you departmentalize life right now?
So to be successful at anything in life, you have to manage your time well, and I believe it starts there. And it also connects to like prioritizing. So the first thing that I do every morning is honestly my praise and worship. I feed my soul, because I've experienced enough things to realize that when my soul is not fed, the mind and the body is completely off. So it's soul, mind, and then body for me. And in some cases, you might have to switch around
the order to kind of for it to resonate.
Because if I'm eating poorly or I have a bad stomach ache, I may not have the physical capability of doing what I need to do to fuel my mind or fuel my soul. And I think the soul fueling goes hand in hand with fueling the mind and even the body also, because if your mind is in shambles, you feel like whimsical, you don't feel well. So honestly, I prioritize. So my soul is prioritized. I feed my soul before everything, and I try to do that to others via Instagram, put out positivity and help people feel like, you know, encouraged and hopeful for whatever it is that they're going through or hoping for. And then whatever it is that I have to do for that day, I block off the time for that. So if I have a photo shoot at 12 p.m., let's say, right, and it's in Brooklyn and I live in the Bronx and it's about an hour away from me, I won't get up at 10 o'clock, give myself an hour to get ready and then an hour to travel. I would honestly want to be up from like 7, 8 a.m. so I can spend about it.
No, I continue. You talking to me, but I'm like, damn, because I ain't gonna lie, I'm the one that wake up at 10:30, like,
no, you can't.
And then try to get to
Well, not that
Brooklyn.
you can't. It's not that you can't do that.
No, but you're right. It's a.
If you want, see, I say this, and I'm gonna go off topic for a second, but it relates. Mm-hmm. Road rage. It stems from rushing.
You potted now.
If you gave yourself enough travel time,
you wouldn't be.
You wouldn't need to bash on the horn when the person in front of you is moving a little too slowly because you're in an ace to get to where you're going. If you have another 45 minutes to get to work and that person didn't take off right away when the light turned green, you won't do that.
My friends get something.
I'm telling you, when you wake up earlier and you have more time in your day, you get to do more things. And people who even have like 9 to 5s or 9 to 7s, 9 to 3s, 11 to 8s, 11 to 11s, that's a pretty tough schedule. But at the end of the day, if you want to be able to work out and catch up with people and stuff, if you have to be at work for 11 o'clock, why are you waking up at 9:30, 10 o'clock? Why? Get up at 6 o'clock.
No, you're right.
So you can glide into your day. But you know what I mean?
You're right. My biggest issue is like, I ain't gonna lie, I should hurt my soul. I'm like,
I'm sorry.
You're doing your job. You're right. Hold me accountable. Because most of the time I'm sitting there, I'm like, I be seeing, I ain't gonna lie, I set the alarm, I'm like, that shit cute. Like, I'm gonna wake up at the right time. That's cute. Then I get up, I'm just like, my biggest is going to sleep late. Like, I have no problem. If I go to sleep at if I'm on grandfather time, like, go to sleep at 10 o'clock, 9:30, then I'm be up at 4:30. Like, let's get it.
Yeah.
Like, but life was better then when I could wake up in the morning, I'll work out right, tap in. So by the time you start your day, you realize you did so many things for yourself that you had no problem giving to the world.
Exactly.
And that is that right
you're
there.
You're not pouring from an empty place, an empty cup.
1,000%.
Why do you feel like you have the diligence to do it on vacation, but you don't have the diligence to do it when you're home?
Do what?
When we're on vacation, you do all of the things, but you don't do any of those things when we're home.
Yo, fuck you.
I know what it might be.
What it might be?
Your money is involved when you're at home, of course. But when you're on vacation and you drop that bread, that cheesecake, that wheat bread, whole grain bread, to be there in that moment and to soak up all that it has to offer, and it's on a time span, it's not going to last forever. You're more efficient.
Moment. That's true. I think that's true. When you're on the road, you are more efficient because you spend more money. But secondly, I feel like when I'm on the road, I'm more efficient because the level of that I could be inconvenienced is at a minimum. Like, even when I come back off the road, I hear everybody saying, like, you was on the road, so I ain't want to bother you. I'm like, nigga, don't bother me in real life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're away,
I understand
they'll
that.
be like, oh, no, I'm going to call them when they get back. So sometimes it's like, it's like you just kind of picked up and started over. Even if it's for like 3-4 days. I think people love vacation so much. Like you go try a restaurant, you could wake up like no matter how it is, nothing's dirty. You don't gotta clean. Like you don't think about you don't gotta clean nothing. Ain't nothing dirty. Like there's a lot of regular real life stuff at home that alters and changes you. And you're right, because I'll come back off the road and start doing those things, and then little by little they phase out because like other things happen. But it's to the point of not being diligent with my time, not setting my boundaries, and you have to be very efficient with like, yo, I have to do this within this time frame.
Yeah, and I honestly believe like consistency is better than intensity. So even if you know like you can't do it 7 days in a row, then try it for 1 day, try it for 2 days, or try it for just 10 minutes and see how it feels. It feels good, and then do it again, and then you continue increasing it
little
intervals, and then eventually it'll become a habit.
Which is, I ain't gonna lie, I start to sprint. Like I sprint too much. It's like, I bet we working out. I'm about to go 9 hours today. It's like, oh boy, like instead of 30 minutes today, 30 minutes tomorrow. Like I love Nip and I talk about all his music and things like that, but I don't be running a marathon. Like I really be feeling like I'm Usain Bolt. It's like we doing a 200 today. All right, cool. But it really is the little by little, step by step in those aspects and areas. You don't want to
get burnt out.
It's weird. I think subconsciously I like to burn out.
That's interesting.
Because I feel like when I burn out, it's the same aspect when I'm away. It's like when I'm burnt out, people leave me alone. And it's weird. It's like, I ain't got nothing to give you. I know I got nothing to give you.
That's a dangerous place to be in, though.
It's a very dangerous place to be in.
Because sometimes being burnt out means that you sometimes feel like you don't even have anything to give yourself.
I've just started valuing giving myself more than the world. Like, I mean, when I say just, I mean, we probably talking about months. Like, I just started to really, like, tap into, like, the aspects of superior man of realizing if you're not good, then anything that you give to the world can't be good. Like, at the end of the day, the fruit is always going to come from the root of the tree. And I'm the root. Prior to that, I didn't see it that way. So, it's almost like, I'm like, damn, we're going to do this for this person, this person, this person, this person. When it comes to me, I could just chill. Like, and that has affected me in my career in a lot of different ways. Because I'll show up for everybody else except for me. And yeah, I just got mad vulnerable. In a lot
that
of
was
different
beautiful.
ways.
That was really beautiful.
A lot of different ways, like for real.
You
like,
just, you have to consider the fact that when you show up for yourself before showing up for others, you're able to show up for others more. And you can't, like, be guilty about it.
See, the guilt is tough, especially like growing up in that Caribbean household.
100%. I'm still dealing with that now because honestly, like, Caribbean, caregivers, because I don't want to just selective it out to a mom or a dad or grandma.
Yes, heavy on the
caregivers or guardians.
Guardians,
They
just like, yo.
They're more on the, like, if you don't do what I ask you to do, no, beg me nothing.
No, beg me, yo.
Don't ask me for anything. You're done.
It's like you don't
not
get your
accepted.
You don't get your freedom from your parents and the elders until like 40-something. They be like, all right, and even then it's different.
Yeah,
it's a different game now. And I start to see that, but I realized that they didn't have the emotional just intelligence to understand certain things, or the emotional maturity just to be like, you know what, like let me let them live their life in this way in that aspect. But I realized that grace comes on to you when you're able to see it through your lens for them. Like when I started giving my parents and my family, just people in my life, a certain level of grace, then it returned back to me. Because now it's like, I need to know why you're that way. Yeah. Like now I understand why my mother and my father are the way they are, and I know where it stems from. I don't take their words on surface level anymore. Like I take it like another quote. It's actually gonna go in the book too. It's like, it says, it's not about being mad at somebody. It's about being mad at the right person at the right time, in the right moment, while you're doing the right thing, saying it in the right way. That's like the ultimate goal. Because it's like everybody, no matter how much smoke, like, I could mean you could be going through something. Say like it's only probably 20% of what my anger is at. I might give you 40. Just because I opened it up now I'm letting it all out. And it's kind of like, if we give people exactly what they deserve, positively and negatively, or the yin and the yang of it in those moments, then there will be nothing left for us to hold on to.
Right.
But it's almost kind of like, I feel like you start your life holding on to trauma and pain and shit. Like, well, I feel like I've seen it happen so many times. because we somehow think that children from the age of 0 to 7 don't remember anything when your entire subconscious is formed in that time frame. But people don't want to listen to science.
They don't.
Yeah, like they don't want to like realize how important like certain things is.
And you find that a lot in, West Indian culture. And I can only speak for West Indian culture because that's what I was raised within. Mm-hmm. It's very sad and it's very scary because I remember, like, being younger. And I remember one time mentioning to my mom, like, I think I should go to therapy. And she was like, therapy? God, you're a therapist. Like, you don't need a therapist. I'm like, wait, what?
Yo, God.
And I get it because I'm now at a place, being older, that I can be all screwed up mentally and emotionally, and God will really strengthen me. But at the same time, I believe that God graced the psychiatrists, the psychologists, the dermatologists, the pediatricians to help us.
1,000%.
So how are you going to discount that? You know what I'm saying?
That's a part of the blessing.
Right.
I had to learn that, like, as you delegate and put these things off to different people, it becomes a part of the blessing. And also, you don't know what you're doing for them. Because if God gave them a purpose to help people heal from the things that they went through, and then you don't show up to go on their couch because of your own ego, then that throws everything off.
Exactly.
Because the strength that God has given you in that moment, you have to delegate that because you're going to need it when He takes you to where He's going to take you to.
Yeah, 100%.
So as time goes on, I learned that too. But it's like the Caribbean. The irony is that I remember my mom put me in therapy when my father and my mom got a divorce.
Oh, really?
I was in therapy. Old white guy, looked like he was in like freaking, like he was Zordon from Power Rangers and shit. Like he just looked really. But the irony is, I was like, therapy did nothing for me at all. Hated it. I was probably like 12, 13. I'm sitting there like, yo, bro, what is this nigga talking about right now? Like, I don't even care. But then I look back. I was at one of my friend's crib. He was playing chess. And I was like, yo, what did I learn chess at? Learned chess in therapy.
Oh, wow.
And he actually like taught me. Now I'm looking back. He actually taught me how to move and operate in life on the chessboard. So I look back and I'm just like, all the things I've learned from chess, how to move, how to think, how to departmentalize, to understand what's coming my way. And it's like, I'm like, fuck, man, he might have Mr. Miyagi'd me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he actually taught me so many different things, but in a tangible way for me to understand it and process it. And I think that was like a high level of emotional intelligence because it's kind of like he knew if he spoke to me about what I was going through, I wasn't going to respond to him. But he knew if we played a game and I got competitive, my moves and how I operated would show my deficiencies in life the same way it shows now. So I think that's why it's so important with things like that, like card games, and those things aren't just for that. The part is to like, how do you challenge yourself in these tough moments when the scoreboard is here, and how do you operate? Because everything's a microcosm of your life and your soul. So I think that's a real thing. Hold. Yeah, like one of my famous slogans of all time is just like, I'm not knocking anybody that's ever done it, but it's just kind of like, yo, fuck all the parents that make you take an MTA test. Like, I just know, like the way that they just be trying to, like, no lie, like, I'm about to be a bus driver, bro. Like, I'm about to be a Beeline Westchester bus driver. You know what happened? I couldn't get the job because I had a ticket on my transcript. You have a driving transcript. And I thought that, see, it's the funny thing. In that moment, I'm like, dang, God, I can't catch a wind. Now, I'm like, yo, God, bro, you the realest, man. Yo, boy, like, imagine that, bro. I'm gonna be up there one day before you know you're gonna see me as the bus driver in the shade room. Like, I'm like, yo, thank you, God, for not. I'm not knocking bus drivers, man. Shout out to the bus drivers. You know what I'm saying? Let me get a ride. But do you feel like, so you got a fashion line? You're in school.
Yeah.
You also model.
Yeah. Getting ready to go back to school.
Getting ready to go back to school. What are you going to school for?
I would like to become a medical doctor.
Okay, you are going to become a medical doctor?
Yes, I am.
All right. What got you into medicine?
So honestly, when I was younger, about 9 years old, I read Dr. Ben Carson's book, Gifted Hands. And it talks about his youth. And then it goes into his adulthood when he becomes a neurosurgeon and he separates the twins conjoined at the head. And I'm actually rereading the book now as an adult because I just want to see where did I feel this connection to him And just a few pages in, he talks about that his father went away at 8 years old. My dad also went away when I was 7 going on 8. He went to prison, and he's still there now. And just, he inspired me so much to just become a physician. And I always knew growing up that within our community, we don't have anybody who grows up in the neighborhood from the Bronx and becomes a physician and give back to the community in any kind of way. Like, we're from West Indian culture, so if you're not into business, you're into, illegal acts and things that you're not supposed to be in. And I just wanted to break those chains and break those generational curses off my family and get educated. And science is real. Medicine is important. It helps. It's truth. It's, it's a big business also.
No, it's a big business, but it's
important.
I think it's extremely important. Like, for one, to go into like just the America aspect, we're not going to dive too deep, but like the only 3 things that's true in America right now is prison, medicine, and probably politics. Yeah. Like in the sense of like economically. But I think what you said is extremely important. Also, it's like for a long time, back to my MTA comment, I felt like, and it ties back into the grace where it's like, man, like why you want me to do this? Like you don't know I got dreams. Like you don't know that. Like God gave me a gift, like He put me here to do something, and it's almost kind of like your parents for them to know you, that moment where you feel like they don't know you, because it's like if you know me, I would hate myself to go do something like that.
Yeah.
But then you kind of have to like almost kind of humble yourself, even though I love that word, but humble yourself to understand like you can't call on your ancestors when you're going through so much stuff, but then like not answer when they're calling you. Like sometimes doing certain things is a part of the plan of your chromosomes. Like that was designed before you were even born.
100% agree.
And for you to not show up or be present in that is almost kind of disrespectful at times. And I had to learn that and like kind of take that on the chin one day. Just be like, you know what? Like, it is my life, but I wouldn't be who I am without certain people doing certain things. And maybe me giving to them isn't my time or my resources, but me giving back to them is showing them that everything that they sacrificed for is in good hands and it could keep on going. And that's something I'm just starting to get to. And because I have to feel all that, like I need some people to say they're proud of me. But then it's also like, but am I being honorable in the things that I'm doing that I want them to give me the credit for? And looking back, it's not. That's the truth. Like, it's just like dreams are expensive. People don't talk about that.
They are.
Like
my dream of medicine is freaking expensive.
Like dreams cost, it costs a lot.
It do, but I don't like to put a price tag on my happiness, especially because we only live once, and I would hate to die with regret of not pursuing something because, it costs too much money or it just would cost me too much. Like, too much time, too much sacrifice. I think it's worth it, honestly. And for me, it's like, it was a little bit hard, wanting to, it is still a little bit just on this journey of becoming a physician in a West Indian family, because they're like, why are you doing something that's taking so long for you to make money? Like, do something else. It's so frustrating, but I've accepted that it is what it is, and I pray that it changes. But we have to break that dynamic of chasing instant gratification rather than making the sacrifices to become educated or work on yourself or work on your dreams or your plans or whatever it is, and delay that gratification for later. And then just, reaping the benefits of what you sowed, with the hard work you put in. And I'm okay with delaying gratification for now. It's not easy. I have moments where I'm like, damn, like if I would have did nursing in college, I would have been working right now. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't believe I was called to do that. I believe I was called to be in, the position of being a physician and, just being that leader and what I have to do.
I think that's important. And also I love the fact that you show up in that space. Like, you're like, you know what? Like, I know what the role is for me, and I know what I can do to change it, and I embrace it, and I walk in it. Yeah. Because sometimes walking in that path isn't the easiest thing to do. And my cousin right now, she's studying at USC to be a doctor. And a lot of the reasons that she's studying is to be there is like, for one, yes, it takes forever. Like, I mean, like, I think I'd have been to like 3 graduations already, and I'm like, it's probably gonna be another one, you know? I'm like, but I also love the space of like, we're not also in survival mode thinking anymore. Because now it's like, you can spend that 8 to 10 years or that 6 to 8 years to go get that degree or to become a doctor and understand how things change after that. Yeah. Because you don't have to go sacrifice to go work and do certain, or you have to still work, but not have to do a full load. Yeah. And I think that's the part that we're not seeing. It's like the money's gonna come. Like, money gonna come. That's one thing that life gonna teach you, especially this country gonna teach you. If not New York City gonna teach you, money gonna come.
Yep. What
you do with the money is the real question. Like, how we gonna operate with the money is the real question. Not just that, just the resources. Like, where do we go with that? So, did Mos Def play Ben Carson? Like, was there a movie about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't see the movie, but I think there is one.
There's a movie about that. Because it's like, when I thought about it, because my sister just sit me down and read encyclopedias and all type of stuff all day. Like, I mean, from Langston Hughes to Billie Holiday, like all of that stuff. I was just like, yo, bro, like.
Yeah, he was
a decorated physician. Like, he was like Colin Powell level of like respected in his expertise, and then
his stance in politics have definitely taken his desirability and his likeliness.
He was a commie. He was a commie. He was a communist.
Nah, he was like big Trump supporter. Like, did the Trump things. Then he became like that.
Hold on, this nigga still alive?
Housing department.
He's still alive?
He is.
Oh shit! All right. See, I'm we talking about Frederick Douglass time. We talking about back. I was like back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Things, and then people were just like, "You're a decorated physician."
Hold on, that Ben Carson, like the one that was
the same one.
Oh,
yeah. It's hard to believe.
Because
that's why when she said it, I was just like,
yeah.
It's hard to believe that people like he changed.
I can't lie, just reading his book, and I won't lie to you, like, when I read it when I was younger, like, even all of my relatives, they're like, since you were smaller, you always wanted to be a doctor. And I told myself as an adult now, you know, I have to write my personal statement, and I know everything that's going to go in it, but I'm like, I really need to go back to the root of where this started. I need to reread his book. And I'm rereading it now, and just a few pages in, the first connection that I made with him is the fact that his dad went away. What really happened is that the mother left him because he was cheating. So, and he had another family.
Okay.
Right?
He's from Milwaukee.
So, but what his understanding was like, my dad went away, and my dad went to prison when I was 7 going on 8. So immediately I made that connection with him, like, both of our fathers are away, because that was really hard for me to deal with. And he persevered through a lot of struggles, and he became great, like one of the best. And I know he's not very liked now, but I can't lie. He's the reason why I even saw myself as a physician, like not physically, just vision, honestly.
That's heavy. And to know that so early, I think that's something that I look back at, like I thought, like I wish I kind of knew earlier, but maybe that wasn't for me. In the aspect of what God wanted for me, but that's beautiful to know so early, like early on.
But what I can say is that it is a tedious journey, but I am pursuing other things, and I have pursued other things that fulfilled me and that I like. So I have hobbies and other business ventures that I'm exploring and getting into. So it's not that bad when you're...
No, honestly, I don't know. Listen, man, I didn't watch, not Grey's Anatomy, because I got like 1,000 seasons. But like growing up, watching ER and all that, like I was just like, yo, ER used to be alright. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing what's happening, the terminology and everything. Like the scrubs ain't look that bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple cool fitters that could go with it. Like, you know, those little Crocs, you know, like George Clooney. What was the black guy? It was the black guy.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was on for a couple of seasons.
He was sleeping with the Asian lady.
Yeah. He became head doctor, but like,
that
was great.
It was a really good show.
I have this idea that when I have my own private practice, on Fridays, me and my staff, we have to wear Bread 11s, like 100%. Like Fridays is Bread 11 Fridays.
Wow, provocative.
It's not provocative. It's fun.
No, I'm here for it.
It's fun.
Jordans, I would be a lot more comfortable about where this conversation is.
I'm telling you, the Bread 11s with the white lab coat. That's a good fit. is.
I do like that. But I think we got to revolutionize just overall just what we feel help is now, or just like the medical field, from the aspects of like now we want to have black therapists, like you want to have doctors that look like you, like you want to go to these places where you're able to relate, because
100%.
we realizing that a lot of this healing process is mental as well. Like you were talking about earlier, like it's mind, body, and soul. I mix those up, but it has to go together. I feel like too many times we go to the doctor's office and they're so focused on just body, and they really don't care about where your mind is at and like where your soul is at.
And I believe that's what will also help me be separated from the rest. And I mean, there's physicians out there that's definitely taking the holistic approach. But although God's willing, I will be doing the path of MD, I definitely want to have the medicinal approach, also with the holistic approach, and just treat patients as a whole and focus a lot on their mind and their mental health, because that's important. And that to demonstrate that, if you think about like the placebo effects.
Go ahead. No, because I love the placebo aspect. Continue.
Yeah, but it's like, let's say you have a headache, right? And I tell you like, Cito, this is 600 milligram ibuprofen or whatever, Tylenol. It's going to get rid of that headache, but it's just salt, table salt. And you take it, and all of a sudden, for some reason, the headache is gone.
All of a sudden.
Table salt in the capsule. Like, does that tell you the power of the mind? It's real.
Balance is so essential because... I was going, but how in those moments when I be getting up mad late, it's like, even though I know I can't do it because like time is an illusion, but I still live in a time frame in life because I'm here. But I think sometimes having such a powerful mind is what gets me in trouble, because it's kind of like, because I know, like to a point, like I'm the person that's like, my body's saying I'm sick. I'm really just like, nigga, I'm not sick. Like I'm just not sick. Like I'm not. And don't get me wrong, I might heal faster than normal, but sometimes it's still a process for your body to kind of catch up. So I love the placebo stuff because it's kind of like you are what you think, like in every aspect of it, like beyond just law of attraction or manifestation. Like you literally could tell your body, like, yo, bro, like, stop sweating. And if you really start to breathe and just chill, your body will legit listen to you.
Literally.
I feel like the entire society right now in life is just like doing everything to block us from knowing ourselves. Like knowing like our true being. Like, because that was my biggest thing too about praying and meditating and all that. I used to think it had to be done a certain way. Like I used to think that I had to really sit down and be all, but like those moments you just stop and take like a 30-second.
I'm glad you did that, because I wanted to take a deep breath.
No, you want to go. You just take one of those. It kind of gets you in a certain space. You just like, all right.
Yeah, it resets you.
And it also makes you appreciate music more. Like now, like I can see clearly now that the rain is gone. I'm like, oh, you're never talking about actual rain, bro. Like you're just seeing like things aren't cloudy anymore. And it makes you realize, like, one of my biggest things is that even on stage, and I talk to people all the time, is like, yo, you got to read the room. I tell people all the time, read the room. But then it makes you think, like, I'm telling them a tangible thing, but do they know the instructions on how to do it? Like,
oh, you have an instruction manual to read the room?
I don't. Maybe I got to create one. But in the sense of just like breaking it down, like, yo, do you know what to look for? Because some people read the room and did the wrong thing. So obviously reading the room itself isn't what we're looking for. Is you having the emotional intelligence to understand what the room needs and what you can provide to the room. Because what I'm going to do is going to be different than what you're going to do.
Right.
And I think being sure of yourself in those moments is being tapped into your soul.
100%. I was going to say that. I think being able to, like, read any room, you have to have some sort of spirit of discernment, and you have to be, you have to have a relationship with your intuition to know, like, how does your intuition work? Like, for me, because that's passive language. I know my intuition is speaking to me or communicating with me based off how my gut feels. However, if my stomach is, if it have knots there, and I know if it's like good knots or like butterflies or whatever, or how my nervous system feels. If I'm like trembling or getting anxious, throat drying, something is wrong. And it's like that even when I encounter people also. I just pay attention to those things. And you also look at body language too. You see some people, their facial expression might be but some people just have that kind of face, and the minute you say something to them, it's all smiles.
That's real. I think that's real. And there's such a big difference between understanding somebody's energy and understanding somebody's mood. Because there's days where I've had people interpret me, and they'll speak to other people, and they're like, "Yeah, Cito, this." They're like, "You just call me on a bad day," like in those aspects. But I had a hard time with discernment in the sense of, am I uncomfortable, and am I going to past experiences, or is this person or this room putting me in a position that doesn't align with who I am anymore? Because that's what used to throw me off before. Like now, I feel like I'm good in the sense of like, is it me? Is it the room? Or is it both of us?
Yeah.
Like, the room isn't going to change unless I get out. If I need to stay in this room for a reason, what do I need to shift, or what mind frame do I need to go into to accomplish what I need in this room until I leave? And I guess it's being more diplomatic, or trying to understand, like, my biggest thing right now is don't let the ego get in front of the goals. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Like that's my, right now, like heavy on the, if you got to go do something, say something to somebody, like don't let that get in the way of what you got to get done. Same way of not necessarily blocking your blessings. So when we read these rooms, or we don't read the room, here comes the burps again.
Get it all out.
Nah, I ain't gonna. I need some tea. I need some mint tea crazy. When we read the room, or when we don't read these rooms, it makes me just wonder, are we reading it from a sense of back to survival? Of like, how do I get comfortable again? How do I get back to a space where I feel like the best version of me? Or do we read it in a space of like, what can I give this world? I think when I walk in rooms and I say, what can I give to this room? I always feel more secure in that than what can I necessarily take from the room.
As an artist, I think that's a wonderful approach for you because I would say you're more on the giving end than the receiving end.
Okay, yes.
But for the times when you're not working, you definitely want to look at it from a perspective of gaining, receiving. But I have a question for you, and it's about this. Do you think the phrase reading the room has like a negative connotation attached to it?
Oh, nah.
No?
I really don't. Like, to me, it's just, I think these are paraphrases for just things that we speak about on nonstop.
Okay.
In the sense of like being present, emotional intelligence, and like understand why you're here.
Because usually, like, if somebody says, like, I need to read the room, it's like they have a radar for negativity. That's why I said.
And it goes back to we talking about off camera too. Like a lot of things in society, how words are spells, it's like everything kind of can be used in the way, in the context of what you want to use it. I feel like being a wordsmith, like I've spent time trying to play on words to make you think something's negative and make it positive, or something that's positive and make it negative. So it makes you realize that it's all on how you interpret it.
Yeah, because this might be bad to say, I don't know, but sometimes like having negative expectations can shape your perception. So let's say if someone is like, I need to read the room, see what's up, and they have like a radar of expecting like something it to be something negative, someone to be there where their character's off, their aura's off. I'm a believer in like what you believe is what you will see. Not what you see is what you'll believe.
That's real.
So I think it's important to just kind of go into places if you're going to have expectations. And it sucks because what if you have positive expectations, good expectations, and you're let down? And I don't want to say don't have no expectations at all, because
I think that's like, in those aspects. When I hear like people say have zero expectations, I think that's probably not the right way to articulate it. I think it's in the manage your expectations once you're present in the space to observe what's going on. Because what happens is we go somewhere, and on our whole way there, we're thinking what's going to happen. So everything is leading up to when we get to that point. But once we actually get to that point, that's the only actual present moment. Everything else was like hypothetical. So once you get there, then you can have an expectation of, okay, this is the amount of people that's in the room. Okay, what is it going to look like? What has my experiences told me? Like, prime example, and thank you for coming for the show on Monday.
You're welcome. The show was wonderful.
Like, cutting room is a great space. Yo, pop out. Probably going to do it again. Please turn your AC on next time. But before, when I used to do shows, I used to get there, and I'm like, damn, who's going to show up? Do people show up? Is this? Is that? I'm bugging out. Now when I get there, I'm like, okay, what's happening? Cool. Prime example, it's pouring. All right, bro. If it was raining outside, would you come to the show if it wasn't you? No. Okay, cool. Got you. So some people are going to say no. If you were in this space, would you come? Yes, cool. I bet. So it's not going to be that. So once I got there and I was able to see them, I'm like, okay, this is the problem. This is the issue. It makes me more present to understand it. You can't read a room before you get in it. And I think so many people try to do that.
Right.
I've learned like you just can't do that. But to what you were saying about how it's important to take things from the room as well, I think that stems back to the Caribbean parent, or sometimes just the male ideology, like if you're not doing anything, then you're not valuable. And I think that kind of messes with me a lot. Maybe it's double. Maybe it's from the man aspect and the dual aspect of like, if I can't be present, I don't add value to a room, then I naturally feel like, why am I here? And sometimes my presence is just the value alone. My eyes, my ears, just being there is value alone. I just feel like at times society doesn't necessarily reassure that.
Yeah.
And I don't reassure it in myself because I feel like almost every aspect, like you got to show up. It's like, yo, you only kind of get praised for what you do.
Yeah.
And in a certain way, that's kind of made me hard to love. Not love, to be loved. I think this is Janae said this on Drake's album. It's like it says you can love everybody but yourself. I think I misphrased it. It was like, she's just like, I love you more than you love yourself. I love you more than you love the both of us. And it just makes me just like I'm working to take the cape off. I'm working on a relationship with God. I'm tapping in with the medicine. We gotta get into fashion also. But it just like as a black man, like this space of like accepting love, like I didn't know it would be this difficult. Like it's hard. Like it's just like we was talking about earlier, like you just let somebody love you, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's crazy because it's like, yo, that shit that shit be feeling hard as hell sometimes. It's just like,
so you say it's hard, right? But
yeah, or difficult.
It's difficult to receive love, you're saying.
Yeah.
To allow people to love you.
Yeah. Like,
do you think it stems from a place of like not really believing that you are lovable, or not necessarily believing that people actually love you? Okay,
it's the actually word for me. Like, you know, it's the actual and I'm working on this too because I don't want to take people's surface love and make them feel like it's not worthy of, or I don't care about it, or like make them like kind of be like, well, I ain't gonna do nothing for you then, you know? I don't want it to be that. I just think we speak about it off camera when you kind of live way below the surface and you're really into these deep, depthful places. You're doing the shadow work. You're trying to be better. Certain things, I can't come back to that level just to affirm you, because some people's love is only love if I'm affirming them back.
It's conditional love.
Yes, conditional love. And I'm never a fan of that. Like, there's so many people that I done put on and send people pages and helped, and it's kind of like, you probably will never know in life because I'm not doing it for you to give me a reward.
Right.
But at times I also feel like most people live in a conditional love where it's like, all right, like people always gonna, like that Chris Rock quote sticks with me and I'm trying to get it out of my brain. Like, yo, only dog and women are loved in the aspect of doing, like a man is only loved based on what he can do. And that part of me is like, that's cap. It's 1,000% cap. Because I see men out here getting love all the time for just showing up. But it makes me wonder, like, do I feel like I only get love for the things that I do? Or do I do the things that I do because I want love? If that makes sense.
It can, so the two perspectives that you just stated, it can coexist. So it can actually be both simultaneously, to be honest. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
All right. I can see that.
Yeah.
I think that's the part where I'm like, you know what?
But you heard of the 4 agreements, right?
Oh, yeah, I love the 4 agreements.
Don't make assumptions.
Yes.
So.
Don't make assumptions. You're right.
Right. And I think that's talking about the mind, right? To go back to the mind, it's important to organize your mind in ways as far as like, what's the truth and what's like lies, what can you control, what can't you control, because when there's no separation of those things, you start to like scramble in your head, and thoughts, just like Bay likes to say, like they ping pong in your head when there's no organization. And you have to have that mental list of those things separated in order to thrive. So those things that you ask yourself, when you're looking for answers, sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, what is the truth and what's a lie here? Like, what do I know for a fact? What has proven that I'm getting love just for me, or I'm getting love just for the things that I do? Like, what's the truth and what's the lie?
No, I like that. I like that. Like, what's the truth? Like, I always want to find the truth in something.
Yeah, and if you don't know the truth or a lie, let it go. Literally, let it go and be free. And if the truth or a lie somehow, shows up, then you got your answer. But holding on to things and chasing it, that's how you get trapped in, like, mental prison, in a sense.
No, that mental prison is real.
And then it starts spiraling and branching off into other things. Mm-hmm. And then you're depressed and you didn't do something for a week.
Yeah, that's a fact. I feel like I've been at an Airbnb at a House of Lies. That's how I feel. Like, you just in a space where it's just like, what's the truth in it? Mm-hmm. Or what's the truth in you? I think, to tie it back, last question. So the departmentalization really comes from understanding which space that you're in. So if you're in soul, then you process while you're tapped into your soul. Mm-hmm. If you're in mind, you process while you're tapped into mind. When you're in body, you process while tapped into body. So it's kind of like...
But, it's so funny. I'm sorry, my eyelashes are itching.
No, you good.
I told someone the other day that, of course, like, our body is tangible. It's a physical thing that we can touch. Our brain is something that we could touch. We'd have to cut our skull open to get there. But the mind and our souls, like, it's intangible. And sometimes I'm like, I think they're connected somehow.
I think you can't, like, it's really, like, I think, and I'm not going to go deep into that because we'll be here for another hour. The death thing also, at first I was scared of death in the aspect of not necessarily my demise, but just death itself. Mm-hmm. Because you have this whole, like, to me it's like, death is like sometimes your favorite season of a show getting canceled. It's kind of like now I can only go back and watch it again, but it doesn't give me that same feeling because I won't create new memories with this person. Mm-hmm. And we can take it, do a spin-off, go do a whole nother show. And I'm not saying that show can't be dope either. That show could probably be fire, but it's still not...
Feels like a loss. Feels like something was taken away from you.
It still doesn't feel like this show right here that I loved. Yeah. But, you still go. You still got to live in it. You got to be in it. But I just naturally... The death aspect, it just makes you feel like, how do you process your soul leaving and going somewhere? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, one quote that sticks with me is like, your soul doesn't have a gender. So it messes me up because I'm like, okay, so your...
That's interesting.
Yeah, like, so it's like...
That's really interesting.
So our bodies are avatars, and my soul is an avatar being male. Wow. And your soul, you know what I'm saying? The avatar being female. So in those moments, but then my soul itself, like, we talk about soul mates. It's kind of like our souls aren't looking in that aspect. Like, we're looking soul to soul. Mm-hmm. And that's when it kind of like things open up. And I'm like, okay, now we're probably in a different dimension of thinking. But it's necessary.
Yeah.
Because in those spaces, that's when I feel like you find truth. I feel like you never find the truth on the surface level. And that's just me. I think that's just me.
really quickly, because I know you said that was the last
Yeah.
question, but talking about like organization of the mind, right? Do you know the difference between like when it's like your thoughts or God talking to you, or maybe like some other entity from like other realms of life?
I feel like I never really know in the moment. I feel like I know in hindsight.
Okay.
Like sometimes I look back and I'm like, dang, the trauma was talking. I look back, I'm like, that was lust. Look back, I was like, okay, that was discipline. Other ones like, okay, that was only motivation, but it wasn't consistency. And there's other moments I was like, nah, that wasn't me, that was God. Now you can kind of wrap it back into like, God creates, so all those emotions stem from the same source. But I think Kendrick had a line on his album that stuck with me. He's just like, when everybody see their demise, they blame God. I look at my ego. And it's like,
that's deep.
Yes, like it's moments where we kind of keep on trying to, it's like, I think TD Jake said it. He's like, people ask for a table and they think God's going to give them a table. When in high key, God's going to give you wood. He's going to give you the tools. He's going to give you everything to build a table. So the same thing about life is like all these tools God have given me, my job is not to eliminate any of them. It's to basically shape them into the puzzle piece that is needed so I can complete the picture. Because if that piece wasn't supposed to be there, then in due time it's going to probably phase out. But if it's still here, then I still need something from it. So my job isn't to just try to, I feel like at times we try to like take things away so much. Like I got to get rid of this and get rid of that. And I don't like this about me. And this is like, yes, I understand those things. But if it's still in front of you, there's still a lesson you need in it.
100%.
And until you, it's like a video game, until you complete that, you're still going to be on that level no matter how you want to look at it. So.
And I believe that lessons continuously come back around to you when you don't learn them.
That's why in the 4 agreements, don't take anything personal, sticks with me. Like every time I get in my bag, I'm like, don't take it personal. Like, don't take it personal.
But that agreement, that's a hard agreement to live by. I can't lie.
For sure. All of them is difficult.
It is.
Because it's like, bro, like what you mean don't take it personal? Like what you said, like it's just, it's tough, but then it makes you realize the same thing that they're doing, I'm doing myself. Because I'm projecting how I'm feeling in this space. Am I mad at their no just because it's their own no? Or do I think about all the no's I heard before and I didn't give them smoke, so now I'm going to give you smoke because I can? Or whatever the situation is. And that's why I think it goes back to like, can I, and that's how I really want a life. Can I give everybody what is it that they deserve in my discernment for why I'm here? And that's positive, negative, and light and dark, whatever it is. I want to give everybody everything that they deserve of me and to myself. Yeah. I think that's my moment of clarity. I think that was right where it needed to be. That was a great episode. I really like this one because it just, don't get me wrong, like we've had different type of episodes, but I like let's bring it back. Let's tap in. Let's talk about tangible things to kind of keep us balanced.
Yep.
Let's get to these goals. Let's get to these missions. Let's understand that, man, it's a marathon. And like, yeah, man, we want to, be wilding on a yacht one day. So, so we got to get to it. That's just how it's going to be.
Yep. And also just keep in mind that always pour into yourself so that you're not pouring from an empty cup. And a routine is very important to stay balanced. But you have to find your own rhythm, definitely.
It's a formula. I feel like everything in nature that's respected are formulas. We love the sun, not just because it's the sun, because it shows up. The sun is consistent.
It is.
The moon consistent. The air is consistent. The moment is not, the whole world gets thrown off. So what's your job to the earth? Make sure you show up today and tomorrow.
100%.
It's your boy Cito Blanquito.
Oh, I'm supposed to say. Oh my gosh! Wait, I don't know what to say.
Just say your name, your Instagram. What you got coming up? You know what I'm saying? We didn't get into the fashion, but tell them where to follow you, how to purchase some of your stuff.
So you can follow me on Instagram at isashay. That's the letter I, SASHAY. Thank you for having me. This was beautiful, and that's a wrap.